Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor. We're going to talk about Fargo. It's Season 3, Episode 9. It's called Aporia. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. I cannot tell you the satisfaction I had in my face. The exact moment that Varga, for the first time in this show, felt like he wasn't in control. Now, we had a little bit of that when he tried to look up Glory on the computer and it didn't quite work. But that was more like mild annoyance. This was...
Yeah, he was. Then he was frustrated, but he was like, "I can work around this stuff."
Yeah, this was when he realised, when Nikki put him in a position where, oh shit, she's actually an opponent. She can actually do something. She can beat me, potentially. The level of worry in his face. The fact that he had to go and comfort eat a bucket of ice cream in the toilet, before going to this meeting, it was fascinating. It was during the moment when it hit. It was when Mimo comes into the office after the whole truck heist, and he doesn't say anything. He just stands there. His hair's also kind of sticking up. It looks like he's been in kind of a... He's had a situation. And Varga can tell he's had a situation. And it's before the phone even rings, and then it's as the phone rings and he turns and looks at the phone. The look of fear.
It's great.
It tasted so good.
It's particularly good though when he puts on the front and goes and meets her anyway. But he's still, you unless you'd had that scene before, you wouldn't know he was unsettled until
exactly.
a point.
Yeah,
And then it's like, oh shit, she's really in control.
It's because we've seen him in so much control throughout the season. We've seen him in these situations repeatedly. That in that scene, because obviously what happens is Nikki and Mr. Wrench hijack his truck with a fake grenade to make them think they're going to blow up, and they take it. The drums kick in as they're enacting their plan.
That's a fantastic moment when because it's just the shot through the window. I was like, what happened? And then the grenade comes in.
Which, I mean, for a split second, oh man, she got dark. Like, because she just elbows the window and throws in a grenade, and you think, oh, it's going to blow up, but then obviously it takes a bit of a turn. But you get the sense right away, oh, they've been planning for 3 months, they've been watching, they've been lying in wait with their plans. It's good stuff. But they go and they basically take it to a junkyard, and they steal a laptop and some vital elements, basically to get his financial details, all of the secrets that Varga keeps, kind of thing. Because she's done enough research, she's done enough watching to realise that's where it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
It's the idea that he's not secret anymore.
Yeah, even when she quotes the account numbers at him, he's like, yeah, but you can't access it. But that's not really what it's about. She knows. She's got the information. That's enough to make him afraid. Yeah.
So it's when he goes to the meeting, and she's just picked a public place. It's like the foyer of a hotel kind of thing. It's like a restaurant and a hotel. And he sits there, and he basically tries to sound impressed. Where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to make you an alternate offer. I'm going to offer you a job because you're good at what you do," kind of thing. And he basically says, "I work for this company," and she's like, "No, you don't. I know a boss when I see one." And he's like, "Oh, you've just added another 0-1 to your contract." And then there's a moment where you think he maybe had the upper hand, where she even looks a little bit concerned. Where she's like, "Oh, I've picked a public place, and you stand out pretty well." And he looks around, and she's like, "Do I?" And she looks around, and it's like he's arranged a bunch of people to walk in wearing the exact same type of coat and suit.
Well, yeah, that's it. I don't know if he's so good at being indistinct and wears just such generic clothing that it's just happenstance, or if he has actually planted people.
The reason why I think there's at least some planted is because there's one guy that she looks at that kind of looks back at her with these eyes. It looks intimidating. So maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe he just didn't like being looked at. Maybe he's just giving her a glare.
I think the great thing is it works either way.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. But it's the smug look in his face where he thinks he's just won because he's like, "Do I?" And she looks around.
She does look genuinely unsettled for a minute as well.
But she predicts everything he's doing. She's like, "Oh, your man's somewhere. He's probably got a gun pointed at me." And then we cut to Mimo, and then sure enough, Mr. Wrench comes from behind and gives her a little signal to let her know that he's taken care of. And once again, it's back in her court, and she's like, "Nope, he's taken care of." And he's like, "Oh, you just added another 2 zeros onto your contract." And it's like he's trying to, and he's desperate. He's making all these offers that you can see he's unsettled. And that's why she ultimately wins this scene, because she stands up and says, "I'll expect my money by tomorrow." And then the music kicks in. Yeah. This defiant music, and then she walks out in slow motion as Mr. Wrench sort of walks in behind her. They're this pair, they're this twosome that have just won the fight. And it's like, it's because going back when they started the whole Peter and the Wolf musical bit, and it said she was the cat, and I was like, oh, she's the wild card. Right from then, we've been saying she's the wild card. She's the unpredictable one. Gloria is definitely the hero of the story, who'll ultimately take him down. But she's the one who's going to, pardon the phrase, throw a wrench into his plans.
Yeah, that's very good.
I'm proud of myself for that one. Yes, what were you going to say?
I don't know. You've ruined my point with that awful pun. Whatever was in my head is gone because I'm just annoyed that you actually said that.
That was perfect. How could I not have said that? That was the perfect thing to say about this plot.
Yeah, I got it now. Do you know what I realize that tells you just how in control that she is? It's that he seems genuinely willing to pay a salary. You know, like, I will pay you this, and it will be more, just because he needs to be able to say he won.
He even says in the scene, he says, "Oh, I'm offering you a fortune, and you're refusing it for a piggy bank sum." Like he's pointing out how minuscule this, was it $2 million she's asking for?
Yeah, that's it. The actual money, it's nothing to him. He can give her that, no problem. And I mean, some people may say that he's just bluffing when he says he can pay her all this much more.
So Joe tells me he's not. It's when he leans in and he says, "You know you can't win this." The fact that he has to say that is what shows me he's scared that he's going to lose.
Yeah, that's it. He genuinely could pay more, but this isn't about the money. This is about he can't stand being beaten.
Because no one ever beats him. I've seen that. Like, he never has to suffer defeat. He always wiggles his way to victory some way or another. But and actually, I love the body language in this scene. The entire scene, he never leans back in his chair. Because we got this wide two shot where they're both on the other side of the frame. And what made me notice this so much is because the framing on them as the characters in the scene was kind of weird for a good portion of this shot, because it kept cutting back to this shot. And the reason why it was a little bit weird is because it was framed so that they'd be symmetrical, but they weren't. Because for most of the scene, he was always leaned in. He was never leaned leaned back. He was always leaned forward.
Yeah, she was sat back.
And she was sat back in the chair. And she did lean on at one point, and that's when it became clear why it was so noticeable, because when she leaned in, it became perfect framing, it became perfectly symmetrical.
Yeah.
But it was specifically doing that to show you that she's comfortable, she's leaning back, he's having to lean into her world, because she's the one who's in control.
The power's on one side of the court here.
Yeah. So that was exactly that. So that, very well done. Very well done, that whole plotline. Obviously, the other thing they're doing, we opened the episode, Mimo is in a guy's house and stabs him. And it's well shot. I love what they do with Mimo, where the camera just reveals him like standing there.
Yeah, he just appears, doesn't he?
Especially since he's usually standing in a sort of comfortable pose where he's just sort of... This is going to sound like a weird thing to say, but I would say arrogantly listening to music, if that makes any sense.
No, I get what you're saying. That it's the idea that he can stand there and listen to music. He's so confident in what he's doing that he doesn't even have to pay all of his attention on the task. He can stop and listen to music instead.
Yeah, but he slits this guy's throat, and I loved how the blood mixed, because the guy was like he was getting some milk out the fridge, and the blood's mixing in with the milk on the floor. Created a really nice bit of imagery. I especially like how it kind of contrasts the fact that just last episode we had the blood in the snow. And I just like this constant theme of the blood mixed in with the white, because it kind of shows you how, especially in this case, maybe not in the case of some of the other examples, but I like the reason why I think blood mixing with something that's white works so well is because the idea that the very clean white is pure and innocence, and then the blood's like staining it. So especially in this case where this guy is literally just an innocent random person who has nothing, as far as we know, has done nothing wrong in his life and has just been killed.
Yeah, exactly. That's it, isn't it? It's just the blood, because that's symbolic enough in itself, but then mix it with innocence, like I say, it taints it. Yeah.
Oh, even I suppose in the snow, that you could almost argue it's mixing with the innocence of the land. Like, it's people who make it corrupt. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not that the place of Minnesota or Fargo or whatever town we happen to be in Minnesota at any given episode. We bounce around a lot because we've been in different towns every episode, I think. Well, actually, no, because season 1 and 2 would have been the same, because it would have been, her father in the flashback.
Season 2 was Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
But I think 1 was actually in Fargo.
Was one? Okay, fair enough.
But they mentioned Sioux Falls.
Oh, so. Fair enough. Yeah. But it's bounced around a lot of different towns in
Yeah.
Minnesota. But yeah, obviously the camera goes over to the guy's mail. Which, by the way, actually, it's just a random thought I had. His sprinklers go off, and it's like snowing outside, or well, it's not snowing, but there's snow on the ground, and I'm like, surely sprinklers going off when it's that cold is a really bad idea. You know, for ice reasons.
Yeah. No, I see. I guess the logic is if you turn it off, it'll freeze in the pipes, whereas if you keep it pumping,
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
that's the only way I can think of. That
Because
would...
all I could think is how slippy that path is going to be later on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
but you see his mail. He's got a letter on the table, and you see the name Stussy, and I immediately got what they were doing.
Yeah, you get it immediately. That's all it takes.
Because obviously before that, you're like, why is he killing this random guy? Have we seen him before? Like, I'm trying to think, have I just forgotten this guy's face? Like, what?
Yeah, it feels so just random and disconnected to everything else.
Yeah, but then you realise, they're making this into a serial killer, so that it can't be Emmett. Like, there's more of a serial thing going on there. And then there's another one later on. This one, of course, matches the glass in the throat. The one they find later matches the strangulation from
The glue in the mouth.
from Gloria's grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is they're setting this up so that it can't be him. And of course, the new chief, Shea Wiggum's character, he kind of falls for it. I guess he comes to the crime scene. He sees this as a serial killer, and they conveniently got a witness for the car. And as soon as they heard about the witness who saw the car, I'm like, this is intentional.
Yeah.
This is
It's
intentional.
too easy.
And sure enough, they find the car, and it looks like it's Mimo from the above, because it's an Asian guy in the same jacket, and then the camera comes down, and it's some other dude, and he's someone they've paid off. And what I love about it is when the chief says all this to Gloria, and he's like, no, we found the guy, let him go. I love that she just knows what's going on. She doesn't even question it for a second. She knows that, because when she goes and talks to Emmett later to say, "Oh, you're free to go," and he's obviously terrified. He doesn't even want to leave.
Yeah.
He's like, but she maps it all out, like, because up until this point, cause we've not spoken about Emmett's first scene, because I actually really loved Emmett's first scene when he comes in and he confesses, and because we speculated a bit last week about how much he would confess off the bat. I thought he was going to confess more initially. It was purely just the Ray stuff. He wanted to confess about Ray, but I really liked where that scene went, because the idea, we find out that he actually did trick him out of the stamp back when everything went down.
Yeah. There's that great line where he's like, "I've been killing him for 30 years. This was just when he fell."
Yeah, like the reason why he's got this shitty job, where he's watching guys piss like during the day, all this stuff. And I think the extra added insult as well is the way he tricked him. Was like, oh, you're a 15-year-old loser who's a bit chubby who can't get any girls, have the car. I think there's a real sinister vibe to that, a real sort of sick side to it, where he did actually finally find someone who he really cared about, and she really cared about him, and it's been taken from him. He's now dead and doesn't have that. He found happiness, and it's ruined partly because of him.
He finally got what he was promised, essentially.
Yeah, and he couldn't even let him have it in a weird sort of unintentional to an extent. I mean, arguably all of it, it's not like he intended for his brother to have a shit life, but now obviously he's looking back on it, he's saying, the domino effect started with me.
Yeah, that's it, because up till this episode, it's always been presented as it was Ray's idea to swap, like he wasn't happy with the stamps and he wanted the car. And that is kind of what happens, but like we saw, it was he put the idea in his head.
Yeah, he intentionally tricked him into it. And I like this because, I mean, obviously he did accidentally kill him, but up until now, Emmett's never really done anything actually wrong. Like, he's never been, like, obviously we've seen him gradually maybe side with Varga and maybe get tempted by the money and things, but he was never made out to be the bad one. Or when Ray came asking for the stamp, it felt like he just decided that he wanted what he decided to give up before, and we kind of
and he always said, "Oh, you tricked me," but we kind of just disregarded it.
Yeah, and it's a great thing. It's like, obviously we often talk about how you show things you don't tell. Having characters just say things normally doesn't work, but in this case it does, because he's confessing his guilt, and because all season we've been led to believe the other thing, the opposite. Him just coming out and saying it because he feels guilty. This late in the game actually does work really well.
Yeah, it does.
Especially when the acting's good, which it is in this case. So,
Yeah, I mean that's all the performances in this episode in particular. I thought were fantastic.
Yeah, no, I agree. Obviously, we're talking about the Nikki Varga scene, really
Yeah.
good. Uh, of course, so in this scene when she Gloria spells it all out, she right from the get go she keeps talking about they've paid for this. Someone's doing this for you. Someone is desperate for you not to be found guilty, and to the point where she's like, it's him, isn't it? It's that guy in your office who was said he was selling footwear. It's him. It's him, and then it was that moment where he's almost about to bring it all up, fess it all up, and it's when he thinks about Varga, and he wasn't actually there for that scene, but we get a flashback to him eating the ice cream, but it's a close up of his mouth, which by the way I actually had to look away from the screen. This was that disgusting.
Was pretty grim.
Close up of the mouth, chomping on the
Yeah.
ice cream. It was a sound effects more than anything else, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it was. It's proper disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's proper iffy, but but he thinks of Varga, and he decides in this moment, no harm's been done to him yet. I will probably suffer a lesser fate if I just keep my mouth shut at this point.
Yes. So far, he's only put himself in trouble. He hasn't dropped
Yeah.
anyone else in it.
And I think this is another sign of him being scared, and once again receding. He had a moment of bravery to come and talk about his brother. Admittedly, a lot of that's out of guilt and so
Yeah.
on, but he's receded back again into a more act of cowardice.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting to me that Nikki's almost the one freeing him, in the sense that even though she knows that Emmett was the one who actually killed Ray, she doesn't seem that concerned about it. She's more concerned with
yeah.
Vargas, the way it was treated afterwards.
Yeah, well, I kind of like that about that scene, actually. That was something I didn't mention, is when she says, I know a boss when I see one, like, Varga actually brings up, it wasn't me that did it, right? It was Emmett. And she's like, yeah, he might have been the one who actually did the act, but he's not the one who covered it up. He's not the one who came after me. He's not the one who flipped the truck, or flipped the prison bus. Like, she runs down all that stuff. She knows that can't be Emmett.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? She knows maybe Emmett was involved with that, but ultimately, that's not what this is about. This is about...
The strings being pulled, and there's a puppet master. Yeah.
And I think she can see that Emmett is being pulled by Varga.
And I think that's it shows her intelligence, because she says, like, when she's talking about the bridge games, and she's saying, "Oh, the strategy was my forte. That was my side of the partnership."
Yeah.
And you see it in this scene. She says that, and then she completely backs it up. She's planned for this meeting. She has everything thought out, and he might have met his match.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating, and it's great. It's great to finally see the bad guys get a bit of, at least be running scared, if not have their comeuppance quite yet.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Emma gets freed out of the jail, and Gloria knows the whole time. Like, at this point, she's like, I am completely aware of kind of what's going on here. No evidence to put it together, but she knows. Like, she's figured it out, and the way that Emmett doesn't respond lets her know. So he comes out, and the car's there, and Mimo, of course, is leaning back casually. And obviously, the most telling thing is once he goes in the car, he smiles back. We don't see Mimo smile often. This is a unique moment, but he smiles back again. I'll use the word arrogantly at Gloria, and she kind of knows that they've just gotten away with this.
Yeah, it's kind of like, we won this one.
Yeah, and we don't really get to hear much inside the car. Varga just sort of, let's go. So that's something to be said for the finale next week.
Yep.
And what punishment Emmett may or may not.
Well, that's it. I don't think he'll punish him too much because he didn't get him in trouble. I think he'll just force him to sign, these papers that he insists that he needs signing.
Aye.
He wrote them up again this week, so I think he's going to insist that he does that there and then.
Yeah, I can see that. And then, does it go through? Does it get stopped in time? Because that's when Gloria comes running in.
The question is, does he still need Emmett that much after these papers have been signed? Because I'm not entirely sure what these are for, like how big a deal it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think given the circumstances, it would look far too suspicious if Emmett goes. I mean, if they still had their fake serial killer out, they could have blamed it on him, but he's been arrested, so they can't.
Yeah, they can't just kill him like that.
That was another moment I really liked, actually, is when Stussy finds out someone died because they had my name.
Yeah, again, it's the one moment where I thought he was going to drop Varga in it, because he felt guilty that this was because of him.
I think deep down he doesn't like, obviously doesn't like anything that's going on. He does feel guilty. Deep down he maybe thinks of himself as a good person, but he's too much of a coward to actually stand up and do it over his own safety.
Yeah, that's I'd say ultimately he still is a relatively good person. He has some faults, but I mean, even the thing with what he did to his brother, it wasn't like that vicious at the time. It was
No, yeah, that's almost a normal family
especially
thing.
yeah, you go. He
Yeah,
was 17. He wanted money.
yeah,
It
no,
wasn't that bad.
yeah, yeah. It's not that bad. Obviously, it's had a lasting effect, and maybe that's something as he grew older he could have like reached out to his brother and
Yeah,
maybe give him a job at the company, or something like let him work his way up in his own company and make sure he's got a future there. And
yeah,
that'd have been a way to maybe try and solve that. And maybe Ray was too proud to accept a job from him. Who knows if he ever offered,
it's possible.
but no. So really, and obviously the final sort of stuff with Gloria we've not really spoke about. I mean, she meets what was her name, Goldfarb, to ask more questions. She finds out about the southern murder from Winnie, and this stuff all goes down. But ultimately, it kind of comes down to two things. It comes down to the scene with Emmett, where she actually kind of opens up about herself to Emmett, and she says she flat out says, because we knew her husband had left her for a man, like, that would be kind of gradually revealed as we went through the season. But she flat out just says it. A couple of years ago, my husband phones me and tells me he's got a boyfriend, he's moving in with them, and he's sorry. And really, what that does is it sets up her next scene with Winnie. She goes for a drink with Winnie, and she basically brings up for the first time since episode 3 these science fiction books, and she
Yeah.
talks about the story of the robot that's useless and keeps asking if he can help, but ultimately has no effect. And she says she feels that way, and the husband thing ties into that. It's kind of like she isn't even necessary anymore. The husband didn't need her.
Yeah.
Sensors, like automatic doors, the dispensers in the bathroom, all these things don't recognize her. She keeps trying to do her job, and then higher ups keep telling her, "No, your entire case. We don't want you to pursue that." She keeps feeling like she isn't useful, and
Well, yeah, she says to a point where she feels she doesn't even exist.
which, by the way, I love the response to that was just poking her.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly, maybe not with assuming it was another guy, maybe I wouldn't do it with a woman. But if you said to me, "I don't think I exist," I'd probably give you a full on slap in the face and go, "Did you feel that? Well, you exist then."
Well, yeah. If the way she was telling the story, it feels like the classic ghost stories where someone's dead but they don't realize it, and they're like, "Why isn't anyone interacting with me?"
Yeah.
That's the sort of story that she was telling. So just the physical contact, just to disprove that, is really strong.
Yeah, it was a really sweet but funny moment, and then she makes her stand up and gives her a hug, and lets her know that she does exist and she is important,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And then she goes to the bathroom. Gloria goes to the bathroom, and she's just sort of wiping her hands with the towel, the paper towel. She doesn't. But then she just sort of looks at the sink. I'm gonna give it a go. Then she just sort of puts her hand in quickly as if she's trying to surprise it. And sure enough, the water comes on, and then really noticeable, the music starts. The main sort of
So the flutes and
the
stuff.
flutes, yeah, her instruments from the Peter and the Wolf, like analogy we had earlier in the season. And then she uses the hand dryer, and she puts the water in. She gets the soap, and she does the whole shebang. She does the whole thing, and she's thrilled that she's doing all this. And obviously this is a little bit of pep for her, but I think ultimately her story has to end with her making a difference. She has to feel that she does accomplish something, and she means something to the world.
It was the idea. It happened because she believed that it would happen. It was like self-belief. Once she was like, "No, I do exist. This will work." That's when it did.
Yeah, even arguably even her son, like she asked, "Oh, did someone give you a lift?" Because he brings her burgers for lunch, comes by the station. He's like, "Oh no, I got the bus." Even the idea that he doesn't even need her to get to places anymore, he can just take the bus on his own.
Yeah,
Cause he's at that early teenage where he's starting to go out on his own kind of thing. You don't need the parents around to take you places.
Yeah. Do you know what though? It's all played as this big accomplishment moment. It's all the hope and I'm real. I do this. I am a little concerned because that was her one thing against Fargo, like that she was invisible, but she's not now.
That is true. That is true.
Now I don't know if it will. Not play into it as much as we were expecting, perhaps, but
I don't know if it'll play into it anymore. I think thematically it's done already all it needs to do already. Because it's not like it's not like she's going to go make a Facebook account just because she's done this.
no.
I think the idea that she's still invisible from that type of technology, that type of perspective, I think could still possibly play into it. But I think it's already done its job. I think she already noticed him. She already figured out that he was the head of all this. Just from, again, observing like the robot. He observed history, and she did. She has now. She's observed these things. So thematically, it already works with her being the arch nemesis, if you will, of Varga. But then, of course, you have this wildcard Nikki, who's also thrown a wrench into the proceedings. I didn't even mean that when I started it. I just realised I was about to say it and smiled and went, yeah, I'm saying it.
Once was bad enough.
Yeah. Final episode, IRS man, who was a guy from Legion, who was seen in that one episode, who was trying to look at the books at the Stussy company, and he's coming back to his office. He's hanging up his coat. He's got his lunch there, and we see there's an envelope, and it's pretty obvious what it's going to be. You expect that again. Nikki's done her homework. She's realised who to send this to, and out pulls a printout of all of the records for the company. Well, I say all the relevant records of the company. It'd be a lot more than that if it was all of them, and a USB drive with presumably even more relevant information.
Do you know what? I'd love it to be a swerve, and it not to have been Nikki that sent it, and it to have been Emmett. Because obviously he'd have access to all his own books.
That would work, yeah.
And it was like maybe this conversation with Gloria really did get to him, and he was like, "No, I'm gonna do the right thing."
Yeah, but he's going to do it in a more stealthy way that isn't immediately apparent that it was him.
Because it's still kind of cowardly in a sense that, that he's not publicly doing anything. He's just providing some information that, no one will realise was him necessarily.
Yeah, possibly. I guess we'll find out next episode if that's the case.
I'm still expecting Nikki, but I think that would be a nice twist.
Yeah, it'd be a moment of kind of redemption for himself. Yeah. So, no. That's a solid episode. Certainly continued the trend of the latter half really having picked up steam and going full ahead. So no, I'm really excited to see what the finale brings and Varga's ultimate takedown. And
it's going to be some. I'm looking forward to whatever big clash goes down.
And what prompts Gloria to actually go for it? Because she's been ordered to stand down.
What makes her move against him?
Yeah, so. Clearly, it's going to be maybe a case of circumstances. Who calls her at the last minute to bring her in, or what prompts her to actually go and investigate.
Yeah, I mean, that's Fargo in a nutshell, isn't it? Circumstances.
Yeah. It is, yeah. A lot of it is circumstance, like what prompts what. So, there you go. That is the penultimate episode of the season. Let us know what you think of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Helps us out a lot. You can also help us out, of course, by going over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Check out some of the bonuses over there if you want to support the channel. But otherwise, guys, that is us. So thank you very much for watching. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?